Hi guys, it's Reagan and welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm so excited about because I'm going to be chatting about one of my favorite genres and recommending books from it, and that is dark academia. The fall season brings many things, but for me personally, as a seasonal mood reader, it really brings a desire to read something set in a school setting full of pompous and annoying people, dark magic, backstabbing, and the like. So that's why I thought I would chat about my favorite dark academia reads with y'all today. Before we dive into the books themselves, first a word from this video sponsor, which is Glasses USA. If you guys have been watching my channel for any amount of time, you would know that I've been a long-term Glasses USA ambassador. I love their site, but if you're not familiar, glassesusa.com is the best place to shop for all of your prescription glasses and sunglasses needs. Not only do they have thousands upon thousands of frames to peruse and choose from, they also have incredible deals by cutting out the middleman. It's also incredibly convenient. All frames are shipped directly to your door, and they have handy tools like the online try-on tools to see what the frames look like on your face before buying. For this specific video, I wanted to do a special dark academia glasses haul with them. I thought it was a perfect pairing for this genre, as the aesthetic of dark academia is almost as much fun as actually reading the books. Before I jump into the haul itself, I will have all the frames linked down below, as well as a special offer code for you guys, but let's go ahead and jump into the glasses haul. So the first frame I'm going to be chatting about is the pair of glasses I am currently wearing, and is by far and away one of my most worn glasses. And these are the Ray-Ban RX 344-7V round metal frame. I have them in size medium, and a particular detail I want to call out is that this pair actually has a tortoise rim around the wire frame. I feel like just making it a little extra special and perfect for the fall season to pair with a blazer or a sweater or a turtleneck. I feel like a classic wire rim frame matches perfectly with the dark academia style and aesthetic, especially because I think of like professor vibes when I wear these. They're also super lightweight. They go with so many things. And again, it's the pair of glasses I personally wear basically every single day of my life. So these are probably my favorite, but the next two are also incredible as well. The next frame is honestly just a perfect kind of thick frame tortoise glasses, and that is the Muse M Modern. The shape of these, I feel like they're brooding. I feel like they're intense, and I also feel like they match fall fashion perfectly. Don't these kind of give you like art gallery vibes, like let's go study in the library until midnight and possibly kill each other off vibes? You know what I mean? Like these are great, and I love the size, shape, and color. It's a rich dark tortoise color, and I feel like everything about them just screams dark academia. These are also a fantastic deal and includes the lenses, so these are for sure a great one to check out as well. And lastly, I have one of my all-time favorite frames, and that is the Hilary Duff X Clara frame, and these are in the burgundy shade. I feel like burgundy is a really fun colorway to kind of add into not only fall fashion, but matches dark academia so well. I think of like loafers, a sort of blood red vibe. I feel like it matches so well with the color aesthetics of the season of fall, not to mention the brooding dark corridors that we're going to be traversing down. It's a great frame. It's a great size. It also comes in a lot of colors, and it's by far and away one of my favorite frames on glassesusa.com. Alrighty guys, that is my dark academia inspired Glasses USA haul. Again, I'll have all the frames as well as a special offer linked down below. Let's go ahead and dive into the dark academia book recommendations. Personally speaking, I have such a soft spot for this genre. I just love an academic setting. I love really smart people like debating philosophy and the lectures of the day. And I also love how often dark academia is paired with a very intense sort of moral issue, either a murder mystery or magic, secret society, all of these things. I especially love when dark academia is used to criticize the institutions themselves. But the first book I have to recommend is by far and away one of the best YA fantasy novels I have read in a long time, and it just happens to be such a refreshing take on the dark academia setting, and that is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I talk about this book a lot, and it deserves it because it is simply that good. This is the perfect time to read this and catch up before the new release, but this book truly has it all. Not only does it center a fantastic female heroine, but it has a university setting, secret societies, ties to Arthurian legends, and magic. It is truly a page turner from page 1. In this story, we follow our main character Bree, and at the beginning of this book, she is just enrolled into a very prestigious high school program on the UNC campus. She's decided to attend because she's kind of looking to leave her home after the tragic and unexpected passing of her mother, to sort of run away from not only her grief, but her father's as well. However, shortly after arriving on campus, Bree witnesses a very unexpected event, and that is a magical attack. From there, she realizes that there's this very dark and mysterious secret society that exists on campus, tied to this sort of ancient magic, and they're also protecting the world against evil monsters. And she begins to question if what happened to her mother was not actually an accident, but actually tied to the magic somehow. So Bree decides to take it upon herself to join this secret society to get the answers she's desperately looking for. This book is absolutely incredible. Not only is Tracy Deonn giving us a fast-paced, intense, trial-based secret society YA urban fantasy, but this book is all about family and history and legacy. This book is also subverting and kind of calling out a lot of the problematic legacies with not only like secret societies, but the institution itself. It is so flippin' good, and it's by far and away one of the best dark academia reads I have read in a while. Next book I have to recommend is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. It's another magic-centered dark academia tale, but in this one we're following two academic and then lifelong like arch nemesis. They used to be college roommates, and both of them while in school basically put their lives on the line to try to figure out how to achieve magical powers. This race and ultimate discovery basically ended up with both of them hating each other and wanting to destroy each other, and our main character actually ending up in jail. This book has dual timelines. We follow present day as our main character has just been released and basically has dedicated the rest of his life to destroying his old roommate and killing him off, and then also following the two young men as they kind of pursue this knowledge, and you see their rivalry sort of increase in intensity year after year. This is a story that definitely centers a lot of gray morality. Both of our characters are very much villains. In fact, our main character, who we are rooting for, is not a good person, but you see him kind of surround himself with a larger cast of characters, and it's a very fascinating, dark, and unpredictable tale. The book is absolutely thrilling, a complete page turner, and honestly has like X-Men vibes, as the powers that are sort of uncovered are very unusual, and you actually run into other characters who have powers as well. It's definitely like two evil superheroes, or should we say villains, facing off, but it definitely has an undercurrent of dark academia, especially as we see their pursuit of like trying to achieve these powers. It's very, very interesting. It's very dark, and I could not put it down. I read it in less than 24 hours. Next up, I actually have another YA recommendation, and that is A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. And this book is set at the Dalloway School, a centuries-old place kind of set in a remote location in the Catskill Mountains. We follow our main character Felicity, and she has just returned back on campus after a year away due to the tragic passing of her girlfriend a year prior on campus. Felicity is back, determined to finish out high school, and she's even given her old room at the Godwin House, a well-known house on campus that is famously haunted by the Dalloway Five students who were killed off mysteriously many generations before. Felicity has sworn to kind of stay away from the dark history of this campus, not to get sucked into the mysteries that sort of haunt the halls, but she does anyway, especially with the arrival of a new student named Ellis, who is a prolific, very famous young writer, and she has started to attend the school because she wants to get inspiration for her next work. Specifically, she's very interested into the occult history of this school, and she starts to draw Felicity into the mystery itself. This book is fascinating for a variety of reasons. First off, the boarding school setting is perfect. It has such fantastic atmosphere, it has such great history, and there's also this level of intensity in the schooling that just perfectly encapsulates the sort of dark academia vibe. People are talking about books at dinner. It has the overall aesthetic that you would want when picking up a book like this. But why I think this book is really, really successful is the intensity and how the author makes us question not only the main character, but also our own perception. So much of the story is watching Felicity fall back down the rabbit hole of her previous obsession of the occult at school, and you begin to see how that hurt her a year prior in relation to her girlfriend, as well as hurting her again in the present. We're not sure who to believe. We're not sure if we should even believe our main character. And this sort of questioning makes a very uncomfortable situation for us throughout the story. And all of this, of course, is also wrapped up in the new student arrived on campus, Ellis. I personally was hooked reading this from beginning to end. I really feel like the author captured that sort of intense, intimate relationships that young girls tend to have, especially in situations like this, sort of escalation of secrets and ritual, creating very dark and uncomfortable situations. This is a perfect, like, dark academia, high school-esque setting. I loved it so much, and I would highly recommend it if you're into this genre. A dark academia recommendations video if I didn't chat about Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Probably one of my favorite dark academia reads that I have encountered in the past few years. Everything about this book I enjoyed. It is incredibly dark and has a multitude of trigger warnings, and I definitely want to call that out if you're interested in picking this book up. This is a story following our main character Alex, who is a bit of an outsider in the way that she kind of was given a second chance on life. She kind of fell into the wrong crowd growing up. She dropped out of school, and basically in her hospital bed on the brink of death, she's offered an opportunity to start anew. And from there, she's given assignments to start investigating like different occult and secret society group, and she's actually sent to Yale to do this. Now Alex is enrolled as a freshman at Yale University. She's trying to balance not just passing her classes, but also investigate all of these different secret society and groups and decipher if the magic that they're claiming is real or not. But everything starts to get really, really murky and also very, very dangerous when murders begin to occur on campus, and Alex tries to investigate what is going on. This book is the sort of ultimate outsider trying to infiltrate like known organizations and situations at prestigious and old universities. It's very critical of not only the institutions, but the groups themselves. This book is very, very dark, and the growth of the magic in this is absolutely eerie. Alex, as our main character, roots this book so well. Watching her have to try to solve not only very scary situations, but complicated ones at that, like investigate everything, was absolutely fascinating. I loved book one, and I'm really excited to see where Leigh Bardugo takes us into book two. It's shocking, full of so many twists and turns, and the environment of the dark academia setting works so, so well. Speaking of murder mysteries, the next book I have to recommend is another YA option, and that is the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. This is another story set at another remote academy, this time in Vermont. And at this particular academy, it actually has a famous mystery tied to it, because shortly after its opening, the tycoon who actually founded and funded this school's wife and daughter went missing. And it's kind of one of the largest unsolved cold cases, and there's also a huge reward to this day to anyone who can solve it. Fast forward to present day, we follow our main character Stevie, who's been accepted into this academy. She's excited not only because it's a very, famous institution, but Stevie dreams of actually becoming an FBI agent, and she also wants to try to solve this mystery. But as she begins to investigate, she starts to see not only connections between the past and the present, but as she investigates further, her present day reality might very much be in danger. This is actually the first book of a trilogy, and each one was absolutely captivating. I found that the mystery was an absolute page turner, and following Stevie try to investigate all of the things that are happening at this academy was great. I feel like she always kept me on my toes. Kind of her thought processes were absolutely ingenious. Not to mention, I love the connection between past and present. We constantly are kind of fluctuating between flashbacks of what actually occurred at the turn of the century at this place. I always felt like each book had a really interesting reveal at the end, but really kept you hooked and ready for the next book in the series as well. I could never guess where it was going, and it was absolutely fascinating for sure. I loved it so much. It definitely has all of the charm of this remote academy, which can quickly go from cute and scenic to scary and remote, and you feel very, very trapped while reading this book. So this is another really great kind of more classic whodunit murder mystery dark academia option, and I loved it. Next up, we are back with a more magical focused dark academia read, and that is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. Another very popular book that I personally think is completely worth the hype. This book is full of super ambitious magicians who are basically trying to get acceptance in this very prestigious secret society that they find out about at the beginning of the book. And in this this story, we are following 6 magicians. All of them are at the top of their individual fields and like magical specialty, and all of them receive an invitation to join the Alexandrian Society, which is a secret kind of group of people who are protecting the ancient Alexander Library throughout the decades. They're all really rich, they're all really powerful, and joining this society is very difficult. Invitations are only sent every single decade. All of these people accept these invitations for their own reasons, but they also realize that there is very much a catch because only 5 people can be accepted. It means one of them has to die. I loved the reading experience of this book immediately. I think one of the reasons why it's so successful, outside of having like just a really fascinating setup, is that there's really no clear main character. We're jumping through the perspectives of all 6 sort of inductees. We learn about their background, we learn about their magical specialty, which are all very different from one another, and you never really have a clear sense of like who is the main character, meaning it's very difficult to figure out like who is not going to be accepted in this sort of society as well. You also quickly get the sense that outside of this very strange competition that's existing between all these people, there's something much darker going on in the society itself. But trying to uncover and unpack that mystery was great as well. Honestly, I feel like this book was just so successful because it really brought together a lot of sometimes very unlikable characters, which I think always works so well in a dark academia setting, and also people who are constantly trying to push the envelope to get at the top of their own field. This has a feeling of like magic school, but instead of learning the basics, these people are trying to like revolutionize everything about what they've already learned, and that is absolutely fascinating. I also feel like the author did a great job making things feel like it's really complicated, but as a reader, at least personally, I was able to follow, and I really know nothing about physics, but I got the sense of what they were chatting about was like very important and very difficult to understand, if that makes sense. This book was absolutely cutthroat. I loved seeing all the different power dynamics and the shifting alliances and just basically how far different people are willing to go for power. It was gripping. I read it really quickly and honestly, I loved it. And the last book I have to recommend shouldn't be too much of a surprise, especially because it's been a recent favorite read of mine and definitely fits the bill for a takedown of not only like the academic world, but like dark academia itself. It is so good. And that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is R.F. Kuang's newest release, and it's also a fantasy standalone, and everything about it is truthfully perfection. The story opens in 1828, and we meet our main character Robin, who at the beginning of this book is taken from his homeland of China and brought over to England by a very mysterious professor. Once he arrives in England, he's immediately put into very intense and rigorous courses in ancient Greek and Latin, all in preparation for one day for Robin to be accepted into the University of Oxford and also join like the Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. This institution has so much power, not only within the university itself, but as Robin quickly realizes, is also instrumental in protecting and also supporting Great Britain's colonial interests. It also realizes by helping them and also being a part of this institution, so directly hurting places like his homeland. This sort of leads Robin to begin to question everything around him, also begin to look into student rebellion. This book is amazing. Academic setting point of view, it was perfect. I could feel the streets of Oxford, and I feel like R.F. Kuang really balanced this sort of love for learning that Robin had, as well as lots of his close friends also had, but also the dissonance of encountering academic works that not only support racist ideology, but also supports the political status quo. This book was an absolute takedown of colonialism, established academia, and it was fascinating from page 1. The story also has like footnotes throughout it, allowing R.F. Kuang to really elaborate on a lot of her different references and points throughout the story. This book has fantasy elements, and the magic system within it works perfectly with what she's trying to accomplish, but I would definitely say this is more of a historical fiction novel with a dash of fantasy, but it all works so well. This is a story so much about Robin and his identity and kind of growing up in a place where he's always been othered, him trying to find a place for himself in a world that does not want him, and then ultimately him taking fate in his own hands and trying to tear apart the apparatus itself. It's absolutely fascinating. It's so well done. Absolutely could not put this book down. And I also could never really guess exactly where it was going. This intersection of language and power and how all of that is tied to economic and colonial interests was just incredible. I loved this book, and I really feel like this is by far and away maybe the best dark academia read I have ever read, which is also why I sort of saved it for last, you know, saved the best for last, if you will. But this is a book you have to check out if you like dark academia in any way, shape, or form. Alrighty guys, those are my dark academia book recommendations. Again, big shout out to Glasses USA for sponsoring this video. Again, I'll have all of my frames linked down below as well as a special offer code. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye.